I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting for December 11th, 2014. Let the record show that all of the commissioners are present, as well as staff this morning. So at this point, I'd like for you to join with me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any agenda changes?
No, there are not.
No agenda changes. So next on our agenda is a public comment period. So this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience who would like to address the commission on a land use item that's not on our agenda. This would be your opportunity. Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to move forward to the consent agenda, and that's the approval of the minutes from the November 13th, 2014 Planning Commission meeting. Are there any revisions, corrections? No? I'm just going to take a quick peek here. So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. Our next item is public hearings, and the first one is a finding of general plan consistency for the dedication of 6.93 acres of government center land on APN 044-011-069 for the future construction of the Calaveras County Animal Services Center. And are we doing all these separately?
There's separate items on the agenda, so you need to take action separately, but I'll sort of do an overview of the
Of all of
process
them. Okay.
on all of them.
Great. All right, so I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Peter Maurer, Planning Director. So Government Code 65402 requires that whenever the county takes an action to do something with land or structures, that we need to make a finding of consistency with the general plan. So in this case, there's 3 different actions that's going to be going to the board next week with regards to animal control. And there's the sort of dedication, reservation of approximately 6 acres on the Criminal Justice Center site, the western edge of it, that would be used sometime in the future. We don't have any plans. There's no budget for it at this point in time, but just sort of reserve that area for a future new animal shelter and animal services facility. In the interim, there are two projects to move portable units to the site. One would be located in the parking lot of the existing animal shelter, and the other one, I think there's 2 that was located at the site of the construction office. So it's already set up for the use. So the board will be taking action next week to authorize the moving of those structures to the site. The only thing that you're looking at today is whether or not it's consistent with the general plan. And staff has prepared a memo that sort of reviewed the policies and land use designation. There's not much that's specific to location of public facilities as far as policies, but it is designated as a public service zone for that, and it seems appropriate given the general direction of the plan to locate facilities in an area where there are adequate infrastructure and access, and that certainly has that there. So. Brian Moss, the Environmental Management Agency Director who oversees animal services, is in the audience if you have any questions for him. I really want to make him come up here and speak at the podium, but he's trying to avoid it. Think of some really good, tough questions for him. And other than that, I think it's a matter of opening the public hearing for each item, see if there's any comments on that, and then your action would be to find or not find that it's consistent with the general plan. And that would satisfy the state requirements for general plan consistency finding. It would then move on to the board next week for actual action on the project.
Okay, well, the public hearing is open, and is there any questions now of Peter?
Well, yeah. I'm curious why it is that the people down the street can't get a permit because of the water business and the county can.
I don't know.
Aren't you glad I asked?
Yes. I believe that there's already service there, so at least certainly for the case of the existing animal shelter.
And the other one was, I noticed that if for some reason it's disapproved, it can be overruled by the local agency. And the following sentence after that says that the Board of Supervisors is not a local agency. So who would overrule it?
Well, in this case, the Section of Government Code 65401, 65402 addresses all local agencies. So the water district, any kind of special districts, fire districts would need to come to the county, need to come to the Planning Commission for finding of consistency whenever they do a capital improvement project. And in some cases, if the Planning Commission found this would be inappropriate, the board of the local agency could say, well, we hear you, but this is very important to us, and on a 4/5 vote, they could override the Planning Commission's
And I have no problem with either of the three issues. It's just here that it says that the local agency does not include state and county or city. So who else is there to overrule it?
Well, that would be, again, a special district or a fire district, school district, something like that. So it's, in this case, it's one of the more convoluted sections of government code. You know, you have to read it several times to sort of, I think I know what they're saying. But
It has a description. It says, an agency of the state for the local performance of governmental or proprietary functions within limited boundaries. So I guess somebody would have to come make their argument that they fit that description.
I'd be surprised if anybody did.
So let's say, for an example, if the CCWD wanted to build a new sewage treatment plant, and they would need, besides having to come to us for a special use permit, we'd also need to make a finding of consistency with the general plan in order for them to go ahead with their capital improvement project. They are a special district, elected body with, specified boundaries, and they could say, well, even though we don't think, the Planning Commission found that it wasn't consistent with the general plan, they could go ahead with the project. The challenge, well, that's probably not a good example. Maybe, say, a new fire station, which is in a commercial zone, which wouldn't require a further permit from the county. And if we found that was an inappropriate location for reasons on the general plan, they could move forward with the project anyway, just with sort of the knowledge that, we don't think it's the best location for it. And I think the idea is really so that there's coordination between all the various special agencies and special districts in the county and the county's general plan, because we rely on other agencies for a lot of public services, water, sewer, and some other areas where the city might provide all those services themselves. It probably doesn't make as much of an issue. And the other thing is so that the county actually considers its general plan when it's thinking about where we're going to put various facilities in the county. So it makes sense from a sort of logic, bigger picture standpoint. The nuances of the text itself is a little strange. But again, it's just
My bringing it up was not a question as to whether the project was good or bad, because it's a good project and it's important, but the wording in this thing seemed a little confusing.
Yes, agreed.
Well, this business about the local agency is in subparagraph C, right? Of this statute.
Yes.
And the local agency doesn't mean the county. That has nothing to do with what we're doing here, is it?
No, we're actually under...
We're under A.
Under A. So in this case, it doesn't really apply, as I said, because we're not the special agent, we're the county, but the county needs to make that same finding for itself.
Windy mornings like this wake me up, you see, so.
High
I wouldn't
ion
see
charge in
that.
the air.
Any other questions of Peter? No. All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and address this project? Lot of you out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that probably have a lot more to say than me. I just had a little technical question, kind of just like Ted does, just a question on wording that I'm sure is an easy explanation. It just said, consistent with the applicable policies of the adopted 1996 Calaveras County General Plan as amended. And I was wondering why that was put in there, the as amended. Does that mean as amended in the past, as amended?
Any
now?
amendments that have done since 1996?
Okay, so there's a
Yeah.
general cover-all statement.
Yes.
Right.
Just
General
confused me. Thank you.
all-purpose statement.
Anyone else? Okay, well, I guess I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for deliberation, thoughts, questions, actions.
Ready for the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to make these findings separately, Peter, or?
I think a separate action on each one would be good, just for the record.
Okay.
And again, because it's noticed public hearing, each
Okay.
separate item.
So do you want to read what the, or how do we want to do this? I could just say, do we want to make a finding that general plan is consistent with the dedication of 6.93 acres of government center land?
I think that'd be an appropriate motion to make.
Okay, so does someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The second is a finding of general plan consistency pursuant to Government Code 65402 subsection A for the placement of 2 modular units received from the Friends of Calaveras Animal Services on government center lands at the APN 044-012-077. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. The final third one is a finding of general plan consistency pursuant to Government Code 65402 subsection A for the placement of 1 modular unit received from the Calaveras Humane Society on government center lands on APN 042-043-005 for the use by Animal Services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Who made the second?
She's laughing so hard you can't hear her.
So all of those findings have been made.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yay.
And thanks for, and thank you for all of your hard work for the animals and homeless animals and animals in need in this county. Thank you.
We thank you.
Yes. And good luck.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Don't get blown away out there.
Oh, yeah.
Unless any of you want to comment on something, there's one more public
Yes,
comment.
we do have a public comment period.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So this is a second public comment period. Anybody? I feel like Ferris Bueller's teacher. Anyone?
This is just such a boring meeting, we can't get out of here in 15 minutes or less.
Set the record.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they didn't all get up and say, please vote for this. I mean, I guess they just are glad that you did. I'm hoping, and probably Peter is already going to address this in his report, that maybe you could give us an update on the general plan update. I think I heard at the board meeting at the end that it was imminent, and maybe the loose ends were tied up, and I was wondering if you could elucidate on what kind of loose ends you've been working on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, so I'll turn it over to you, Peter. Reports, maybe you can comment on Colleen's, and then any other items that you have for us?
Yes, I had 2 items I wanted to discuss with you, and a good one to start with. We are tying up the loose ends. The last item, I've got one issue I need to address in the public facilities and services element. Once I track down that information, make sure it's correct, that one's ready to go. There are some map corrections we need to do. We need to prepare an exhibit that shows the open space in the county, it's a requirement of the conservation open space element. And then I just need to input all of those into the document. So the last thing that I'm working on right now, and Robert and I were here until about 5:30 last night working on the edits to the circulation element. I'm hoping that will be done today. and then that will be reviewed by our consultant and council. And I hope to have the plan out available to the public on Tuesday.
Oh, great. Wow.
Hope. You know, there's always the chance that something might fall apart, but I will be on vacation for 11 days starting next Friday, and I don't want to have that hanging over my head when I'm
Right.
gone. So Thursday is the absolute deadline,
Good.
if I'm here till midnight.
Yay.
Wow.
So if there's any press in here, don't quote me on that, but that's that's what I'm shooting for. And as far
Taping on the recorder.
yeah. If any of you want to stop by the office and sort of go over sort of the preliminary draft, give me a call anytime. You can do that. I'll be getting each of you a hard copy of the draft. So that it's available.
When will that be, do you think, that we'll get something to read?
I'm hoping on Tuesday or Wednesday probably.
Wow.
Before you
Hardly
go-
seems
So the
possible.
only thing that won't be a part of it will be the housing element. That's
Right.
going on a separate track, and there's a lot more loose ends on that we're still cleaning up, but I don't want to delay the release of the rest of the document. But once the housing element is done, the draft of that is done, it'll sort of leapfrog ahead of the rest of the plan while that's all going through the 90-day review period that the board directed us to provide to the public. I hope to have the housing element for you on the January 22nd Planning Commission hearing, because we need to get that adopted before April so that we don't lose our funding and we can maintain the 8-year cycle rather than go back to the 5-year cycle. So that's sort of where we're at with the general plan, and plenty of opportunity for comments and edits and changes to it through the public review process, but it will be a draft that's out there for people to salute at or shoot at, whatever they're wanting to do.
A little of both, maybe.
Yeah.
And you're going on vacation.
Yep.
Marty?
Marty Crane. I know this is out of order or whatever, but I have to share something I just learned. Remember we've talked on occasion about distance means everything? Well, I just learned yesterday that these are all directional mics. When you talk like this closely, we can hear you, but if you get too close, it gets distorted apparently. But when you talk like this, we can't hear you. So when you're talking like this to your fellow board members,
So we should just
we
slip our
can't
arms
hear
around and
you.
try
So
to-
maybe it just needs to be glued to your chest. I don't know, but I just learned that they're directional mics, and so it's speaking right into them that matters. So anyway.
Thank you for the reminder, Marty.
Thank you.
So that's it with the general plan. Yesterday, we had a very positive meeting with representatives from FEMA as far as fixing the maps. We're not out of the woods yet, but I think we're making progress, finally. They agreed to fix the maps. What we've asked them to do for years now is replace the inaccurate awareness flood zone mapping from DWR, which was intended to be a general plan level, here are areas that are likely to flood, so you need to look at this area closely when you're doing planning, as opposed to, you have to have, you're in the flood zone, you have to have flood insurance. So we'll be going through a process. It's a fairly lengthy public review process. They have to go through the same process they went through pretty much to adopt the 2008 version or whatever it was of the current maps, but they're willing to replace the awareness flood zone mapping with the LIDAR and the Atkins study. They covered two different areas. The LIDAR covered the main stem of the various drainages, and the Atkins study was the upper reaches. And it will be accurate, or as accurate as we have today.
Any idea of how long that's going to take?
Probably anywhere from a year to a year and a half by the time they go through their process. Now, we're still waiting for approval from headquarters. In the meantime, I have a meeting on Monday with Congressman McClintock's office. We'll sort of maybe hold the dogs at bay right now as long as FEMA's working with us, but hold that in reserve if headquarters doesn't approve what their staff. There were 5 people representing every sector of the FEMA bureaucracy, including the regional director yesterday. So I think that we've got a really good chance to finally get this resolved. For the most part, it will, reduce the area. And one of the things that the maps today show, is maybe a very wide swath or even an inaccurately located area. So you're on you've got a 5-acre parcel, you've got a drainage going through it, you're well above the incise drainage course, even where it might flood. But because the map shows you're within this much wider swath, you're required to get flood insurance or go through a very lengthy process, expensive process to do a letter of map amendment, I believe it's called, for an individual parcel. In this case, it will clearly identify this is where it is, so you still may have to get flood insurance because the flood zone goes to your property, but it'll be a much lower level and a much simpler documentation of how to clearly more than 2 feet above the base flood elevation, simple process to get that certified, and using accurate data. So that's what we want, using accurate data. And that's what we've asked for some time. It's not going to get thousands of people out of the flood zone. They still will have a flood zone across their property. It'll just be easier for them to build and cheaper for them to get insurance.
Well, that's progress.
I think we were pretty good progress.
First step.
Yeah.
So we'll see as soon as we hear back from them. And they said a couple of weeks. We'll probably hear back from headquarters. But they seem very anxious. This was their suggestion. They had several different scenarios of what we could use. And the one that they were suggesting seemed to be the one that made the most sense for us. So we were very pleased that they finally heard us.
So based on that, it's likely that they'll get approval from.
I think so.
Because I would imagine that maybe past those scenarios before presenting them to the county. Just guessing.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
too. I think the biggest hurdle is just going to be costs for FEMA. Even though all the studies have been done, but there is a lengthy public hearing process. According to them, they've already spent $1.7 million in Calaveras County, and there's a lot of other counties and jurisdictions in the country that are also wanting special studies done. But it just seems like we're this far. Why would you stop at this point? So I'm very hopeful that headquarters will approve it and we can move forward.
Good.
That's all I have to report.
Anyone else have any last end of the year tidbits?
Is there going to be a first planning commission meeting in January? I just heard that they didn't have all the applications in. I don't know if that's true or not.
Annette, I don't know. Do we have anything scheduled or ready to go?
Diane's taking care of all of it. Yeah.
She's taking care of it.
I think there would be enough to have a quorum in January. Yeah.
I hope I see everyone here next year.
I
hope so. That's my Christmas wish.
So I don't know if we have anything for the first meeting in January. Is there anything that's...
Unless you have something.
I don't have anything at this point. There's some projects that are in the works that may or may not. We'll let you know as soon as we find out whether or not we'll cancel that meeting. But definitely we'll have something on for the 22nd, the second meeting of the month. Is this better, Marty? Am I speaking directly into it?
We're not going like this, so thank you. Thank you.
Well, with that, I guess we will adjourn and see you all next year. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah.